Morning, guys. What are we gonna look at? Besides me looking at that cup of coffee over there that I desperately want because I was up till midnight filming the Kaiser sliver video, if not a little bit longer. It's now currently 5:45 a.m. and we're getting ready to film this one. This is the Kubey Nova, but you saw that in the title. I'm gonna try and get a really cool thumbnail of like a supernova or something like that. This is a great little knife that Jared sent along. This was, I think, of all the knives he sent me in that last package, this is one of the ones that spent some of the most time in my pocket because it is a great little knife. It cuts really well. It's a great blade shape. It held its edge incredibly well for as much cutting as I did. I've only ever had to touch it up on a ceramic rod, but we're not gonna get into it too much here. We're gonna turn this around and take a look at it from above. So you guys know what time it is. Turn out the volume because here comes some music. All right, guys, this is the Kubey Nova. Now, I have had some issues with the detent on this. I'm going to address that in a little bit. You just saw. But overall, I really like this knife. So this is the Kubey Nova. We've talked about it in a couple videos. It was in my 5 slicey or 5 super slicer video because it is a really thin behind the edge slicer. It cuts really well. It's pretty comfortable. So let's go ahead and get the specs out of the way. I'm going to put up a spec sheet off here to the right over here so you guys can pause and look at it if you would like. I'm not going to leave it up too long. So this came from Jared and this has got some pretty good feel to it. I really like this knife a lot. It is one of the more comfortable ones that he sent along in that package. I was kind of concerned when I saw it the first time. I was like, I don't know. I really liked that 322 first, the KU 322 when I first got it, but I really started to come around to this one. I carried this one, I think, of the 2 Kubeys he sent me out of that last package, I think I carried this one the most, and that's why it's been so long since between the first impressions and the actual review. I got to carrying this and I realized how good it cuts. It's got really good edge geometry. You can see the thin bevels on that, the thin edge bevels. Well, it really doesn't need a wide bevel because it's really, really thin behind the edge. It's done in D2 steel. So, you know, there is that little bit that it might corrode. I did carry this, but I didn't have too many problems with it. I, however, kept it oiled. I oiled it maybe, once every couple days just to prevent any corrosion. It's got G10 scales. The liners are really well done, come up nice and clean. Pocket clip. Typically, I'm not a fan of these big pocket clips, but on the last 2 Kubeys, actually the last 3, because I keep forgetting that I have this one. The last 3 Kubeys I've gotten, they're big pocket clips, but they're positioned well. You can get around, this is a garbage pocket clip, I'm not gonna lie. You can get around a garbage pocket clip if you position it in a way that it's really comfortably placed. So this is in a position where it does not bother me. It's not pinching, it's not digging into my hand, it's not leaving any, you can see that there's a red area, but there's no like individual points, and that's what a hot spot is. The jimping on the, I'm not usually a fan of jimping on the frame or liner, but on this one, it's pretty soft. So it's just a little bit of additional. It doesn't really pose a problem. And they gave you a nice deep scalloped area for access to the liner. So I want to do a couple things. Let's go ahead and we'll get the scale and we'll get the calipers out. I want to measure the behind the edge thickness, blade stock thickness, and the weight. So hang on just a second. We'll take a look at that. All right, guys, 0.116, 0.116. I think we're good on zeroing this set of calipers. Let's get the blade stock thickness out here. 0.120 right there. And then behind the edge. Now, I'm curious about this because it is really thin. It's not actually as thin as I thought it was, 0.0205. I guess it's not as thin as I thought it was, but it does cut really well. Let's go ahead and go grab the scale and get some weight. All right, let's get the weight on this bad boy here. Let's see here. What did we do last? I think it's going to come up in grams. So we'll do grams for those that you don't use Freedom units. We'll do that first. 117 grams. I did the Kaiser sliver way earlier today, and it came out super light. This is a light knife, to just put it in perspective. I think that one came out at like 70 something grams. This is 117, and this is still a relatively light knife. Let's look at it in ounces. Yeah, 4 1/8 ounce. Not a heavy knife. It's still a relatively light knife. Let's go ahead and get the scale out of the way. Hopefully you guys can't hear the dogs too much. I've been waiting. I've been waiting and waiting for like 5 minutes trying to wait for them to be quiet, and they just keep barking. So like I said, out of that box of stuff, this is one of the knives that Jared sent me that I carried a lot out of that. I think the only knife that I carried more out of that stuff that Jared sent me this last box was the Wee Esprit, because I just love Ray's designs, and it's a great knife, and I carried it a lot. This I did carry a lot because it cuts so well. And the fact is, it's not just that it cuts so well, it cuts comfortably. Back to this sliver that I did earlier today. That knife cuts great, but for heavy duty cardboard, like thick stuff, it's not something that I'd really be able to do with that. This, on the other hand, is really comfortable in hand. It's not too big. It doesn't fill your hand up too much to where you don't feel like you have a grip. There was no fatigue. I cut down a lot of stuff. Now, just to let you guys know, my neighbor is a mechanic, and he gets parts in all the time for his side business where he works on cars on weekends, and that's heavy duty cardboard, and I didn't have any problem with it. It cut really well, and I did not really scratch the finish too much. There's a couple on here. You can see there's a couple in this area here where like the big body of it, but the finish held up pretty well. It's really good. The D2 on this felt great. It did not feel like it got dull. It stayed nice and sharp and bitey, even though I cut a lot, and a lot of that has to do with just edge geometry and things like that. It's a very comfortable cutter. Nice big choil here where you don't have to worry about, when you resharpen it, you don't have to worry about getting into the plunge. The flipper tab has got some jimping, but it's not too much. There's jimping on the spine that is just about perfect. I keep hitting the tripod, I'm sorry. But then you come down into the handle, and it gives you kind of that, it gives you this drop-in grip that sometimes I don't like, because sometimes that feels like it pushes you up in, but this is not big enough that it feels like it pushes me up into that, like I'm forced up against that jimping. So all the chamfering and angles and stuff on this give it nice little facets, but also get rid of any hot spots along the side of the scales. So I really haven't had any issues carrying this knife. I liked carrying it. I enjoyed it a lot. And it's got a unique shape because it has this almost like a reverse swedge, I would say, to give it that harpoon look. So typically a swedge will start thick at the back and then work its way to the tip and thin. This starts at the tip thick and works its way back to the tail. And it gives it a unique faceted look, and I like it. I like it a lot. I like some of these angles. I like when a knife has got multiple facets where it makes it attractive. And so just a great all-around knife so far. I haven't seen any issues with it. Now, I'll tell you that some of the Kubeys are not, how do I say this? Some of the Kubeys are not as heavy on detent as others. Like this one is fairly soft on detent. If you can hear it, watch. There's not a lot of detent on this. I imagine if I took this apart, I could tighten that up a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure. So, you know, it's just one of those things, like if you light switch it, bang, it's on it. Not Neve's knives, by the way. It is Neve's knife. There's a big pop, but if you're one of those guys that just likes to just like slide across the flipper tab, you might have some problems with deployment. The pocket clip is reversible, like I said, and it does not have a lanyard hole, which I'm a fan of that. I think that if they really wanted to offer that option, there's some thoughts, like Artisan does this little piece that goes in almost as a backspacer, but has a hole in it for a lanyard. That's an option. Or you could have put a partial backspacer in that had a loop through on it. But like I said, all in all, this thing has been great to carry. It's been a joy to carry. I really enjoyed it. I like a lot of the Kubey knives, and when you talk about action and things, like I said, this is the one that when I did the video about the smoothest knife in my case, this was the all-around winner. So Kubey is definitely stepping up their game. So props to you over at Kubey, guys. You're really stepping out from where you started, and I've heard people say, you know, oh, Kubey, they stole designs. But as long as they're not stealing designs now and moving forward, I believe there's a redemption arc for that. Like I said in a live feed the other day. Do I like the idea that maybe companies have stolen designs? No, but, you know, hey, you've got to look at the evolution of a company and their business practices and things. So, guys, that's about it on this one. Let's turn this around, do some final thoughts. Guys, the shop cat just came in and I had the garage door open. He came in and he walked up against me and then just flopped over on me like aggressively, like, pet me. So I got a cat on my foot right now. So yeah, guys, that was the Kubey Nova. I carried this so much. This was probably one of the most carried knives out of that stuff that Jared sent me. Kubey has been knocking it out of the park. I know that there was some questions in the past about Kubey's business practices. I'm not seeing it now. I hadn't heard about it. Some people mentioned it in a video. Some people mentioned it to me in a DM. I never saw any of that. And like I said, I believe just with people and with companies, you got to give them a redemption arc. They're really knocking out of the park. Original designs from actual designers. I'm not seeing any of this stuff that people are like, oh, they're stealing designs. I hear that all the time. I don't necessarily see it. But then again, I know of American companies who are doing it. So yeah, Kubey, just keep it up. This is a really stellar knife. I'm digging it. Yeah, so that's it on this one, guys. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like the videos, give them a thumbs down, but please try to tell me why. I can't change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's a simple like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon, get notifications turned on and turn notifications on your device. I work pretty hard at this. Like I said, it's early in the morning. I was up till late last night. So I do this pretty much full time. So I appreciate any support you can give. But if you do want to support the channel financially, I have a bunch of ways you can do it. I have memberships down below where I have a laundry list of stuff that everybody gets, but everyone, it's all based on tier, by the way, but everyone gets access to my gilded server. Everyone saves $5 off of my sharpening service if you're a paying member. And if you're a premium tier member, I have a sharpening tutorial series that I've set up over the last couple years that kind of lays out step-by-step sharpening from choice of stones to maintenance of stones all the way up through the final sharpening. There's that noise again. So other ways you can do it, I have affiliate links down below where a lot of the stuff you see on the channel winds up as an affiliate link. It doesn't cost you anything extra at checkout. They just pay me a little bit for having brought those items to you. And I have a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co. where I've set up a coupon code that works anywhere on Ember Shirt Co. That coupon code is CrazySharp, all one word, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp, all one word, saves you 10% at checkout. And if you send me a picture of you wearing my merchandise, I will put it in a video. Guys, I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and I will see you in the next video.